This is Chapter 6 of The Packet in Portland, written by Alexi Hart. Unit 2B sat at the end of the second-floor walkway, the kind of corner placement that made you visible without making you central. Nora didn't go straight to the door. She took the stairs slowly, eyes tracking the landings, the angles where someone could watch without being watched back. On the second level, she paused long enough to read the scuffs on the concrete outside each unit. Most doors showed the same story. Quick in and out, grocery bags, a dog that scratched once and learned better. A few had deep grooves near the handle, where someone had fumbled keys in the rain. 2B had almost none. That meant either the tenant was careful, or someone else did their locking for them. Nora stepped closer. There were no flyers tucked under the welcome mat, no delivery tags taped to the frame, no smell of cooking seeping through the seams. The peephole was clean. The knob had a newer finish than the others, the metal brighter, less worn. A replacement. Nora didn't knock first. Knocking was a performance for neighbors. She put her fingers lightly against the door and felt for vibration. Nothing. Then she leaned in, close to the seam, and listened. No television hum. No HVAC rattle. No fridge cycling. She stepped back and looked down. The doormat sat perfectly squared to the threshold. Too squared. People were careless with things that didn't matter. They kicked mats, dragged them, left them crooked for days. This one looked as if someone had aligned it after stepping over it. Nora crouched, lifted the mat by one corner, and found a key. It was not hidden. It was placed. A silver key on a plain ring. The kind of thing a building manager left when they wanted to tell themselves they'd been helpful, not negligent. Nora held the key for a beat, testing its weight, its edges. It was clean. No grit, no pocket lint, no evidence it had lived in anyone's life. She put it back exactly where she found it and stood. She knocked once, firm. No answer. She knocked again, then waited long enough for a cautious person to decide whether to speak. Still nothing. Nora took out her phone and opened the Atlas Desk contact sheet for the building manager, the one the attorney had provided. Not Ramon, just a general office number. She didn't call. Instead, she took a photograph of the door, the knob, the mat, the clean peephole, the replacement hardware. Then she walked to the stairwell and went down. The front desk woman looked up when Nora returned. Nora didn't accuse. She didn't threaten. She set the photos on the counter, one at a time, like cards. "The knob is new," Nora said. "When was it replaced?" The woman's eyes widened. "I don't know. Maintenance handles that." Nora nodded. "Who asked for it?" "I don't know," the woman repeated, but her voice wasn't as steady. Nora kept her tone gentle. "You said there was a lost fob ticket on Sunday. That means someone contacted you. That means there's a record. I'm not asking for private tenant information. I'm asking for operational facts that could keep someone from getting hurt." The woman swallowed. "We can't give you anything without Ramon." Nora watched her face, not challenging, just present. The woman's shoulders sank a fraction. "He's not here." Nora waited. The woman looked past Nora, toward the frosted office window, then back. "There's a spare key for emergencies," she said quietly. "But it's locked up." Nora's gaze didn't change. "Where?" The woman hesitated, then pointed to a small cabinet behind the desk. Nora's tone stayed calm. "Does Ramon have the key to that cabinet?" "Yes," the woman whispered. "And does anyone else," Nora asked, "have access?" The woman looked down at her hands. "The assistant manager, but she's off today." Nora nodded once. "Name?" The woman gave it reluctantly. Nora wrote it down, thanked her, and stepped away from the desk. She didn't push harder. Pressure made people defensive. She didn't need defensive. She needed cooperative later. Outside, she stood in the courtyard again, watching the building. Rain had started in a thin mist, softening the edges of everything. Nora's coat stayed dry. The fabric was designed for weather without announcing the design. She lifted her eyes to the second-floor walkway. 2B's curtains were still closed. If the witness was inside, they were hiding hard, which meant they were either terrified or trained. If the witness was gone, someone wanted the door to look closed, not abandoned. That meant either the witness planned to return or someone wanted it to feel like they might. Nora pulled her phone out and opened Lane Izquierdo's contact card. She didn't call him. She didn't want his voice in her ear. Voices made people feel closer than they had earned. Instead, she sent a message. Send your raw sources now, especially any anomalies in the timeline that didn't fit your map. Lane's reply came fast. Already sent to your secure drop. You were right about one thing. The data is too clean. Nora didn't respond. She opened the Atlas desk's secure drop on her phone and scanned Lane's files as she walked toward the side of the complex, where the dumpsters sat under a metal awning. The broker package had the usual gloss: location pings, purchase histories, probable patterns, all dressed up as insight. The methodology notes were more useful. Lane's team had flagged gaps and substituted inference. A missing value here. A time window there. Nora's eyes stopped on a single note. Localized dark zone. 11:48 p.m. to 12:21 a.m. near Foster Road. No rideshare pings, no transit taps, no phone pings. Could be airplane mode. Could be device swap. Could be signal jammer. Unlikely. Nora read it again. The witness's phone had powered down after the midnight call, per the packet. This window sat after that. Either the phone had stayed on longer than the client admitted, or the map was tracking a different device tied to the witness's identity. Nora stepped to the dumpster area and paused. A cardboard box sat on top of the recycling bin, taped shut. Fresh tape, clean cardboard. It looked like a recent move or a new purchase. Nora didn't touch it. She looked instead at the trash bags piled behind the bins, the ones residents had left outside the container because they didn't want to shove them in. The bags were thin, stretched. One had torn, spilling a few receipts and a crumpled fast food bag. Nora bent and picked up the receipts with 2 fingers, careful. She wasn't looking for fingerprints. She was looking for patterns. One receipt was from a corner store on Foster Road. Time, 11:43 p.m. Nora's attention sharpened. She glanced around the courtyard. No one watched her. No one cared what she did near trash. People avoided looking at garbage because it reminded them of their own. Nora slipped the receipt into a small evidence sleeve from her pocket and stood. Foster Road was in Lane's dark zone window. The witness hadn't disappeared cleanly. They had left behind a breadcrumb. Or someone else had. Nora walked back inside, past the desk, and returned to the stairwell. She climbed to the second floor again, more directly now, steps soft. At 2B, she took out her phone and opened the attorney's packet again. The witness's name sat at the top of the file, the same neat presentation of a person as a role.